first of all, I would like to welcome our internet community that shares the talks with us. Today, we're going to begin a 3-part series called The Unfoldment of the Soul. The daily word today was really perfect. It was really sobering for me and really connected to my talk. The daily word stated that unfoldment is a process of advancement from a simpler state to one that is higher. We're always working to take it higher. Every day, every moment, every breath. And we are in a constant state of unfoldment, even though we don't acknowledge or realize it. We are always changing. Our physical and emotional states are changing and evolving, whether we like it or not. And there's so much wonder and wisdom in our unfoldment. In this series, we have decided to utilize the metaphor of unfoldment by looking at the process of transformation as it refers to a caterpillar to a butterfly. Just as the caterpillar slowly develops and unfolds into a beautiful butterfly, we too are constantly changing from the inside out. We have all the possibility to reveal the uniqueness and wonder within each of us. Our spiritual unfoldment is indeed a continuous process. We have to ever be vigilant. Each day, each moment, we have the opportunity to advance and develop into the loving being that God created us to be. Now, let's repeat that daily word affirmation with conviction. I am constantly unfolding into my true spiritual nature. Can you remember it? Let's try it again. I am constantly unfolding into my true spiritual nature. And we can't forget, of course, that today is Palm Sunday. Our unity perspective, which of course differs from the mainstream, sees our unfoldment of our true spiritual nature represented in Holy Week, starting today. Today is Palm Sunday, and Holy Week recounts a meaningful series of events which lead to the resurrection next Easter Sunday. Palm Sunday represents a preparation, a setting up for the resurrection to occur. What is the importance to focus on these events for us in unity? It is the soul unfoldment. The events of Holy Week have a deep meaning to my soul, to your soul. The events in Holy Week, beginning with Palm Sunday, describe the process of our own spiritual transformation, kind of our blueprint. For this reason, we celebrate Palm Sunday not as a commemoration of an historical event, but as another step in our walk with our God, in our walk with always working to transform ourselves spiritually. On this wondrous Palm Sunday, let us look at this process of transformation. And my focus of the talk is, I am unfolding. I am unfolding. Everybody? I am unfolding. And I'll use the metaphor of the caterpillar to illustrate the unfoldment of the soul. So the caterpillar is kind of mine today to share. I'm going to talk about the metamorphosis of transformation as it relates to our friend, the caterpillar. And as Palm Sunday relates to the beginning of our transformation of the soul, the caterpillar begins the process of unfolding itself as it goes towards becoming the butterfly. And what I'm going to use, I don't know if some of you might know this book. This book came out in 1972. And it really impacted my life. It was one of those books that I could not believe. I mean, the illustrations are really incredible, and the message is simple and really clear, which I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to interpret it as well from a spiritual perspective. Hope for the Flowers is written by Trina Paulus, and it was written, as I said, in 1972. This is a story of a caterpillar named Stripe. So from here on, I'll talk about the caterpillar as Stripe. Hope for the Flowers has become an anthem for searching for truth away from the material things of life, away from the human self and all those things that we get mucked up in. And it's for seeking the answers that are within us. And I've been able to, you should really be proud of me, because I actually figured out my scan last night, because I didn't have Augusty, my husband, because he got delayed in Houston, and I went, oh no, and I was able to figure it out. So you get some pictures from the book. So here we go. I'm going to share you a little bit about the story of Stripe, right? Stripe was born in the world and lived a life expected of a caterpillar, eating his leaves and eating his leaves and eating his leaves and growing bigger and bigger and bigger. However, he became tired of the routine, of doing the same thing and not really having other stimulation and figuring out, well, what is this about? And there must be something more to life. Have you ever in your life gotten to that point or are in that point right now? So one day he left the tree, which served as his home from the very start, and went out to the world to wander and wander. Yes, he was fascinated with things he saw, but he was still unsatisfied. Just like Stripe, we ourselves to also have been conditioned and domesticated in our life. And sometimes even some of us have been raised in mainstream churches or whatever to not question anything. And we kind of just go almost like robots and not being fully satisfied and not really knowing and just going from one crisis to another crisis and never really figuring out, what is it that we can do differently? Well, that certainly was like Stripe. And many of us knew there was more than the material world, and we sought or seeking for a more spiritual meaning of our lives. And even now, I think, this might seem kind of simple, but I know that even for me, every day, I always have a challenge. As long as I'm in my human self, I'm going to have a challenge in my life. It doesn't matter how, amen, yes. It doesn't matter how many classes I go to. I've become an LUT. I help and serve this community. I'm always going to be reaching, and I'm always going to have issues and things that come into my life that take me right back to Stripe and right back to where I need to go. And that's within, and to surrender and know that if I connect with the spiritual and the divine, then I don't have to even ask questions. I just have to ask, So getting back to Stripe, our friend, let's see what's going to happen with him. Stripe left all he knew to search for a meaning of life. And Stripe found this, oh my goodness, I thought I had, well, if you're going to have to look at it sideways, right? Oh no, that's it. But it's supposed to be upright. But just imagine it, right? This is the top. But take a look. He comes here, and all of those dots are worms. And he goes, wow, something must be going on here. So I'm going to join in, and I'm going to climb up. Now, he doesn't know what's at the top. So he just knows that there's something there that he has to claw himself up and go up and go up. And he has to like smash other people, push other people to be able to get up to the top of that pillar. And he had a goal to reach the top of the pillar that makes him, and what happens in our lives that time? Can you think back, or even now in the little things when we think we're even myself walking in spirit, but yet I'm really looking and letting the ego take over and worry about things that I really don't need to worry about. So here he goes, Stripe. He keeps on climbing upward and upward. And in this first trip that he takes up, he meets another caterpillar. Her name is Yellow. And they connect each other. And he's trying not to connect to anybody because he knows he's got to claw them and get them out of their way. But he meets with Yellow, and between them, they decide that this is not what they want to do. So they climb down, fighting and getting down and almost suffocating, and they get down to the ground, and they go off into nirvana, right, for a while. And they stay together, and they love each other, and then all of a sudden, Stripe gets antsy and begins to wonder, well, maybe there is something up there. Maybe there's something that I have to go. And again, lets his ego take over, right, in his human self, and leaves Yellow and goes back up and starts to climb again. But this time he has a mission, right? This time nobody's going to push him back. And this time, guess what he's not going to do? He's not going to do any eye contact. Because look at what happened the first time he contacted with Yellow, right? He's got a mission. So he's not going to eye contact, and he's not going to worry, and he's not going to see them as other caterpillars. He's just going to see them as obstacles. Does that sound familiar? I'm sure we know even people today that have that point of view. And so he keeps going and going and going, and guess what? He makes it to the top. He makes it to the top, and the top pretty much looks just like that. It's just there. And he has this revelation. Wow. And when he peers over, he sees that there are millions of other columns with everybody scratching and going up. And so he's up there and he's thinking, oh my goodness, what is this about? And then all of a sudden he sees this bright yellow butterfly, who actually is yellow. She figured it out. She figured the Christ within her. And so she flew and made contact with him. And he was inspired. And he said he didn't quite understand, he didn't really recognize her, but he knew, oh my goodness, there's more. There's more to life. There's more. And I want to figure that out. So instead of going without, maybe it is about going within. And so he decides in this kind of aha moment, okay, we can leave it there. That's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine. In his aha moment, he recognizes that he has to get down as quickly as possible. And as he climbs down, he can see now the butterflies, the God within, the Christ, and all the other caterpillars. So of course he's trying to tell them, look, I figured it out, and look at it, it's about the butterfly, it's about the God within. So come with me. Come with me, and we together can create a better world. You know, but most of them were like he was previously, right? They were just grabbing and climbing and going up and going up and going up. And he said, no, I'm going to come down. And as he came down, that's what all those butterflies are. They're seeing the Christ in others. Of course, as he got down further and further, it became harder and harder and harder. But he did. He got down. He got down from the pillar and started to seek what was really important. So Stripe journeys down the pillar, now seeing the God within each caterpillar, attempting to tell each one of them his truth. He has discovered, but no one seems to listen. How often, and even myself, how often do we not listen to what we know is the divine truth within us? How often? I know my spiritual journey, I consistently go back being a caterpillar, unfolding my truth within, and getting clearer and closer to quickening my faith deeper so I can choose my spirituality first. Because on this Palm Sunday, one of the things that I love the holy days for me, and I know there's different in unity, there's different perspectives, but I love the fact that unity, we can look at Holy Week and we can see it as a time of taking the time, saying to ourselves, this is the week that we can really take some retrospect and look at ourselves within and say, I want to quicken. It doesn't matter at what level I'm at spiritually. I'm going to quicken myself. I'm going to commit this week of Holy Week to meditate, to pray, to be present, to be really, truly present with our loved ones, even with the person in the grocery store. To really take, because the energy is so incredible on these holy days. The energy and the spiritual energy around us is that we can use that. When Stripe had that revelation and that aha, he used that energy to get him back down. Just as we can use, starting with today on Palm Sunday and go through Holy Week and make that commitment. Are you willing to make that commitment this week? Let me see your hands. How wonderful. Because it's not about me. It's not about what's outside of him. It's about that commitment to the divine. It's about the 5 principles that we embrace in our church. It's most importantly about the 5th, which is to practice, to take our knowing, our spiritual knowing, and to practice, and to surround ourselves and to support things like the spirit groups, that you will have people that will be with you in those spirit groups that can help you spiritually. And we happen to be doing the 5 principles this 6 weeks. So we're really excited to also show that. So I can't really tell you the end of Stripe story today because we're in a 3-part series. And this is the unfolding. I am unfolding. Everybody, I am unfolding. I am unfolding. So let this Holy Week unfold you to the wonder and the calm and the spirit that's within you so that you may walk in Christ as each one of you have within. Thank you and namaste.